It's Wednesday, May 30th. It's time for another episode of Comics Run. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the first 52s, the DC re-releases of their first 52 issues for their first original series. Now, I have a couple of other ones that I picked up over here, and I'll probably get to those first and save the 52 for last. Mostly just because I got these fairly cheap, and they're actually really good quality comics for the price that I got them. Normally, there's a store that I normally go to, but they're not open on Sundays. So I had to go elsewhere, and I ended up going to my local bookstore, and that's actually where I got the first issue of one of the new 52s. I think they've only released 2 or 3 issues for certain characters, or all of the ones. I haven't kept up with the release of the new 52s, so I don't know all of the ones that they're doing, but I know they're doing Catwoman, Superman, and like a bunch of, I think Wonder Woman was one of them, and then they did a couple of others. I don't think they did Batman. I actually don't remember, or don't know. But speaking of Batman, the first one that I found was actually probably one of the most pivotal Batman comics just within the decade or within the series, and it's Batman the Long Halloween. Now, I'm not the biggest Batman fan in the world, but the Long Halloween I just had to pick up. Mostly for its price. I got it for like $1.50 or $2, something like that. And also because it's in graphic novel form, so it's actually really long, and it's set up like an actual book, like it has chapters and things like that. Now, I haven't finished it. I stopped somewhere on chapter 7, which is like April Fool's Day. Basically, it revolves around pretty much every holiday. And there's a reason why it's called the Long Halloween. I'm not going to get into it because you have to read why it's called the Long Halloween. I already knew really why it was called the Long Halloween beforehand, but it was just one of those ones that I had to read and that I had to pick up, so I grabbed it. Now, if you want to know why it's called the Long Halloween, you should read this because it's just great. And like I said, I'm not the biggest Batman fan in the world. I honestly don't even really like him that much. But the Long Halloween is fantastic regardless. And it's by some of the best people, Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Jeff Loeb is the writer, and he's just like really great. Now, it does involve Joker and a lot of other people, but the main person that it concerns regarding the title, it being the Long Halloween, is this person called the Calendar Man. Now, if you played Arkham City, which you should because that game's fantastic, there is a character in Batman Arkham City by the name of the Calendar Man. And he has a poem or, rhymes or scenarios or whatever for every holiday of the year. Because holidays are once a year. and that's why they call him Calendar Man, like Mother's Day. And if you went and saw him on those specific days within the game, he would have a little, like if you saw him on Mother's Day, he would have some little poem regarding Mother's Day, and and things like that. That has to do with this whole story and Batman and everything, and that's one of the reasons why it's called The Long Halloween, just because it has to do with Calendar Man, but it also has a huge, or as I should say, Commissioner Gordon plays a pretty surprising role within The Long Halloween. And now I say surprising because of what he does, or what they make it seem like he does. He does something, or may have done something, that is a little surprising given who the character of Jim Gordon is. And then the fact that, not that he necessarily confronted Batman about it, but that they kind of talked about it, and talked about the situation, like what would happen, or anything like that. And it's just really interesting, and it's actually a really, really good read, and you guys should definitely check it out. If I had to say one thing, it's that it's probably one of the better, if not one of the best, Batman stories that there is. The Long Halloween it's just absolutely great, and you should just totally go pick it up. Now, the third one, or second one, sorry, is The Incredible Hulk. Now, I'm not, I think Hulk is really cool. I just think the kind of the torment, or just the sadness, and kind of just the indecisiveness with the character and his backstory and his really just kind of personal and emotional struggle, I think that's really, really interesting. And I've always really liked Bruce Banner as a character. And if you like Bruce Banner as a character, then you kind of like the Hulk as a character, because they're pretty much the same person. I've always kind of liked it because it's kind of the classic, like, Jekyll and Hyde type of deal, almost, where it's like Dr. Jekyll and then his monster is Mr. Hyde, or in this case it would be like the Hulk or whatever. And especially coming off of the Avengers, which I've seen 3 times already, and Mark Ruffalo's Hulk was absolutely fantastic in that movie. His Bruce Banner was great, but coming off of the Avengers, the Hulk is, or at least this one, is actually really quite good. I haven't honestly really finished this one. I haven't even really started it, really. I read the first couple of pages, and then I took a peek at the back just to kind of see what was going on, and I skimmed it a little bit to kind of look at the artwork, and because I kind of judge comics based on the art style and things like that. A lot of times, if it's got a iffy or weird art style, a lot of times I won't even read it. I don't know why. But this one especially, Balance of Power, is really interesting, mostly because, yeah, I know, the Hulk is on the run, or Bruce Banner's on the run. He's always on the run. He was on the run for a while. He was running from the military, and then he was running from the company, or whatever that he worked for when he was studying gamma radiation and things like that. And then he was in hiding and everything. But now there's it's not that they want to now it's not that they want to, control him and 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 bring him back and try to like keep him caged and working and studying gamma radiation and things like that. It's more of they want to separate Banner from the Beast or from the Hulk, but mostly because, and honestly, because I went and I read the fucking description, because he was accused of murder, of killing some little kid or like some young boy, and Banner's really kind of freaking out about it. He is on the run, and he's going from place to place, and everywhere he goes, it's constantly haunted by the news or the information or the fact that this little boy was murdered, and he, I guess, doesn't know if he did it or knows that he did it and is just stricken with grief and tormented about it. And there's this lady that's kind of leading the charge on trying to get him or trying to find Banner. And it's really interesting just with, I guess, kind of the psychology or whatever, but just kind of the way the manipulation kind of seems to happen within certain situations and scenarios and things like that. And it just sounds really, really interesting. I like I said, I haven't read it yet, but I definitely plan on it. I'm coming off of a cold or getting a cold or something, so I'll probably do that today. Plus, the art style is really cool, and if you've never read The Hulk or any series regarding the Incredible Hulk and Dr. Banner, it's definitely worth checking out. Now, given this isn't like the first issue, so it's not in order, but it's probably somewhere in the middle, but it's clearly one of those ones you can just pick up and read, like even if you know very little about the Hulk and Banner, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's really cool. And again, I mean, I found, like the Long Halloween, I found this one really cheap. It was on sale, but I guess it was one of their back order issues or whatever, so it was like really, really, really cheap. It's like not even, it was like $3 and something, so I definitely thought that was definitely worth it. So I paid $1 something for Long Halloween, and then I paid like $3 even for the Incredible Hulk. But the reason you're here, the New 52s. I found the very first issue for the New 52, but the New 52s of Catwoman. And basically what the New 52s is, DC was rebooting all of their original series. And it's something that they do every, like, 50 years or so. They'll have the series run, and it'll be ongoing, and then every, I think it's every 20 or 50 years or so, they tend to reboot the series or, revamp it and just kind of change it, which I guess from a business standpoint makes sense, because they're trying to appeal to the old current fans, or the old and still loyal, grown-up fans and people that have just kind of grown up with these series and things like that, and they don't want it to be boring and things like that, and I guess kind of keep it interesting so they change it. But plus also because they're appealing to newer audiences, like the newer generations of kids and the newer generation of children and young adults and things like that. So I guess from like financially, from like a business standpoint, like as a company and as a franchise, that makes sense. So like I can't really stay mad at them anymore about that. So I'm I'm basically like over it. But one of the ones that they did was they rebooted Catwoman, which I thought was awesome because I've always been a really big Catwoman fan, and she comes from Batman, and I thought the whole female vigilante kind of thing was really interesting because it's kind of like opposite. It's kind of like, I guess, sort of opposite of what Batman is, even though Batman's technically kind of like a vigilante himself. But he's all like about being pure good and justice and everything. And really, she's really more of Catwoman, or Selina Kyle, as she's known outside of the costume nonsense, is really actually more of an actual vigilante. Like, she just does it for the thrill because it's fun and it's exciting, and she really has no set goal. Like, she's not in it for the greater of humankind or for justice, or she's really just kind of doing it for herself, and it's really fun and it's really exciting, and like she really just is doing it for the thrill. So when I heard that they rebooted Catwoman, I thought that was really, really cool. And it's not like they completely changed everything. They actually didn't. They actually kept a lot of the original stuff and only changed a couple things. Like, they kept her identity. She's still Selina Kyle, which is great and everything, and and she's still Catwoman. The only thing that they really changed was the sort of look of her. They just made her physically look different with her appearance, and they changed her costume, obviously, because she's had different outfits throughout the years. Like, Long Halloween, she had an outfit that was a kind of a cool outfit. I really I thought it was kind of interesting. I didn't care for the ears too much because they just made them too big and they looked really weird. But I mean, everything else is about the same. They just changed a couple of things. Like, they changed her costume, and then just physically with her appearance, they changed just kind of the way she looked. Like, the fact she's rocking a pair of giant double Ds, which previous Catwoman, I shouldn't say previous Catwoman because it's the same person, it's still Selina Kyle, but the previous incarnation of Catwoman, like what she looked like, was different. Like, she had longer hair, and and they made her hair really short. Like, they gave her really short, like almost kind of like one of those lesbian haircuts. But yeah, they gave her really short hair, they gave her giant double Ds, and they kind of changed her costume. And the thing I found interesting about the costume change was she's not wearing like boot heels. She's not wearing like a pair of boots that has like a heel on it, or like a stiletto or anything like that. It's just a pair of boots. Like, they're just like combat boots or whatever. Like, they're just a pair of like heavy duty boots. Like, if she kicked you with them, they would hurt. But then again, if she kicked you with her boot heel, the boots that had the stiletto, those would probably hurt too. But so I thought that was kind of interesting that they actually went and changed her boots. The also really interesting thing that I found kind of funny at the same time was the fact that she slept with Batman. Which isn't surprising because that was bound to happen, and they've kind of had their flings like here and there, and like she's like really flirtatious and everything. But the fact that she did it in the first issue, like within the first couple of pages. Literally, first couple of pages. Like, by the time, like, I think it's the first 5, like, you read, like, the first 5 pages, and then the next page is them, like, getting it on. So I just thought that was really, really funny. Because I remember a friend of mine, when it first came out, he read it, and I remember him telling me, like, yeah, dude, they revamped Batman, or they revamped Catwoman, and she sleeps with Batman. And we were both really surprised. I was like, what? But the fact that she did it in the first issue, I just found that really kind of funny. And let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Yeah. I mean, look at this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but, yeah. And then, yeah. Basically, she sleeps with Batman within the first issue, which I thought was really cool, and really, really funny. And the dialogue is really cool. I think they got a new writer or something like that. I don't know any of these people. I don't know who Judd Winnick is or anything like that. So I think they got like a new group of I think they just got a new group of writers or something like that. But the writing is really good. It's really witty and funny. It's like really smart writing, which I like a lot because that's tough to find sometimes in comics and especially in like modern comics and stuff like that. Like I'm reading The Darkness and it's like some of the dialogue in there is really weird because The Darkness came out during like the 90s, so a lot of the writing is kind of fit for the 90s. So like reading it now and then having it been written like back then, some of the dialogue is like really weird because it was just so long ago. I mean, The Darkness is great. It just the writing is just kind of off-putting sometimes because it came out in like 1997 or something like that. So yeah, the writing is really cool. It was really, really good. It's like it's smart and really witty. And the art, whoever the artist is fantastic. It's really, really high quality art. Like they just spent a lot of time with detail and like the really big like open pages. The really big like open pages where it's just one full page of a piece of artwork is really, really cool and really highly detailed. Not to say that the ones that have multiple pages aren't, because those are really highly detailed as well. So like that's really cool. And like even the detail in like see like there's her short hair that they changed about her. But like even the really personal pages, personal as in like drawing one person, in this case Catwoman, that's even really detailed too. So like that's really cool. And so like the art is great, which is a huge plus for me. And you just kind of see more about like the luxury of Catwoman and how she just really loves the high quality, like really expensive type of deal. And they dabble into like why she really kind of does it. Like she really only does the thieving for the biggest score. Like if there's not a huge score at the end of it, she's not going to be involved. And she does it because it's exciting and because the huge score at the end. Because she wants the challenge of getting something really big and really expensive. That is that at the end of the day is that giant score. So they kind of cover a lot of that in like more detail and stuff, and then they cover a little bit of like, excuse me, who her friends are and things like that, and how she's a lot of the time she's really just kind of solo, and she's really just, even when she's not Catwoman, just as Selina Kyle, she's just kind of like by herself a lot and stuff like that. But that she knows people, she has acquaintances, but then she has like close friends and stuff as well. So that's really interesting to see, especially just the kind of loner type of stuff is really, really interesting. This I actually got this new. I paid full price for this, which I'm not complaining about because it's totally worth it, and I've already gone through it once already. It still feels new. It still smells brand new. Love that smell. It was great. And I'll probably do another read through, probably like one more time, maybe even 2 more times after that. I don't know, but it's just I paid full price for this, and I don't regret it because it's absolutely fantastic. And as much as I was a skeptic on the New 52s, this one doesn't disappoint. So if you can find it, either from your local bookstore or comic shop or whatever, like I said, I had to go to the bookstore because the comic shop I go to is not open on Sundays, which is fine. So if you can find it, or it might even be online, you might be able to get a DC Comics online or whatever and be able to read it. But either way, if you can get your hands on it, definitely pick it up because it's worth the money and it's worth the read. So I'm filming this on a Wednesday, but everything after that, all the new episodes will be on Tuesdays. So I'll see you guys later and take care.